is just fantastic. Captain's Log, Subdate 210402.3. The prank, according to the probe, didn't do as expected. They instead fed the cake to the cattle. So I've decided to ensure one of the quantum torpedoes that I send through Magog's anus is anthrax. They need to learn to respect my authority. Welcome everyone to This Week at Twitter, or twat. To start, we're going to go with coronavirus. In an effort to encourage people to take a form of COVID and air quote this word, vaccine and air quotes, Krispy Kreme have decided to step up. I noticed this via Repzilla. OMG, if you get vaccinated, Krispy Kreme will give you free donuts for the rest of 2021. The way this works is that people in America, when they get a, air quotes, vaccine and air quotes, they are given a vaccination card. When you go to a Krispy Kreme, you show them that card, and in return for this, you get one free original glazed donut. They're doing this for a whole year. If memory serves, when this all started to first happen and sheeple crowd control came into effect in many countries, obesity was right at the forefront of things to blame for people being more likely to suffer from coronavirus. Do you really think even with vaccines it's worth giving them a donut as a reward? And doesn't America have an obesity problem already? While I must commend Krispy Kreme for finding the kryptonite for many individuals, you cannot encourage them with bribery. It's utterly classless. Also, you're offering them the shittest of your donuts. Get better. And a final point. Many people are ardently against vaccinations of any kind anyway. So this isn't going to work. Unless they're a devout customer and you simply ban people from not going into your shop. Oh, and by the way, the idea of carrying around a vaccination card or passport is a fundamentally bad idea. Mostly because rights, but secondly, vaccination is the wrong word. Please stop misusing words. It's starting to really annoy me. To move on from that, we're going to go to Caitlyn Bennett. If you haven't heard of her, she does a lot of videos. She used to, I think, for InfoWars. A lot of her content centers around owning the libtards and being really, really conservative, again, in an attempt to own the libtards. She does post from time to time a lot of videos of her doing something that, by extension, owns the libtards. A more notable video would include this one, which I'm going to play in a moment, but let's read the tweet. Yes, I love cooking for my husband and I love traditional gender roles. Instead of spreading their legs on OnlyFans, every woman should learn to do the same. Reject feminism. Embrace being feminine. In the video, Caitlyn makes a rather interesting dish, something I myself cannot eat. But many people in the replies did point out, if you're gonna own the libtards, at least have the common decency to know how to cook properly. Don't overdo the shrimp, yo. That was the giveaway. And there's nothing wrong with both. Gender roles, sure. Depends on the dynamic of your relationship and or marriage. And there's also nothing wrong with OnlyFans either. It's called an evolution of a market. You absolute snob. Do yourself a favor and learn to accept change. Granted, not all is good, but that doesn't inherently mean everything you don't do is inherently bad. Also, conflating feminism with other things, bit of a weak tactic, don't you think? So to move on from that, although I guess staying in the ballpark of gender roles, we're now going to talk about bad news for human men. And for those that believe that size matters. This topic was trending, and accompanying this is an article. Scientists have recently worked out that due to pollution and certain chemicals because of it are causing human babies to be born with malformed genitals, or to give it its correct name, smaller penises. They're shrinking, the averages are going down. This might go some way to explain the rise in zoophile, which we will get to in a moment, I promise you that. Dr. Shana Swan wrote a book that indicates that humanity is facing an existential crisis in fertility rates, and that a chemical used when manufacturing plastics impacts the hormone-producing endocrine system. As a result of the pollution, a growing number of babies are being born with smaller penises, and that by extension this will affect sperm counts, which by extension could well threaten the future of the human race. And there I was thinking annihilation via big peen was a threat to the human race. Then again, plastic surgery does in fact exist. I guess you humans only have to be concerned when your toe is a bigger option. So a moment ago I mentioned zoo files. Well, for this we need an app called Entail. They have a Twitter @EntailApps. They have built a platform for furries. They encourage trading, content creation. They're basically trying to make a safe space for furries, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But they have said a few things recently that have irked a few of those who like to take furry fandom a bit too far. Yeah, the zoophiles. Those that love a little bit of harmless bestiality in their mind. Those that think animal love and human love mixed together is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I personally would like to put all zoophiles that have crossed those lines in one ISO cube without any furry costumes, because honestly, their suffering is knowing they only get to keep each other company in human form. Well, they have taken a lot of time and consideration into the content policies that will announce at a launch. Content such as zoophilia, Nazism and racism will not be tolerated on our platform. To which someone underneath replied, "Fighting racism and Nazism are good and necessary things. Juxtaposing zoophilia with those two things is ignorant and harmful." They also asked a question. Please elaborate on zoophilia with regard to adult furry art. Animal genitalia disallowed on anthro characters? Feral characters disallowed, feral characters allowed if mythical? And so on. How do you define zoophilia here? Allow me to help you, Harley, understand. People fucking animals is wrong. That is what they're against. Oh, and headphone warning, people. I do want to point out, with regards to Nazism, racism, zoophilia, all three of them either do or have fundamentally breached or violated life in some way, so juxtaposing is utterly redundant. Quite frankly, I'm okay with you, if you are at all interested in fucking animals, being pigeonholed with Nazis and racists. All types of racists, the ones that discriminate against people because of their skin colour, not the structures of power version. Last year there was a lengthy debate and discussion about if orcs are racist because apparently they were coded to be a racist metaphor for black people. Insert NB Easter Bunny here. For the sake of it, this discussion is utterly redundant. Orcs are not racist. No one with an IQ over 1 thinks this, because to compare them to black people is racist, which is exactly what you did in your discussion with Bad Cripple. Well done, you absolute racist. To our final subject, we're going to go to YouTube, and I only saw this in passing, fluke. In response to creator feedback around well-being and targeted dislike campaigns, we are testing a few new designs that don't show the public dislike count. If you are part of this small experiment, you might spot one of these designs in the coming weeks. Example below. Creators, you will still be able to see the exact number of likes and dislikes in YouTube Studio. For viewers, if you're in the experiment, you can still like or dislike a video to share feedback with creators and help tune the recommendations you see on YouTube. Many people said no. Someone did point out that perhaps YouTube themselves are salty about YouTube Rewind. Matt Jarbo, Boulder Boy himself, king of the neckbeards, I've told YouTube they should do this for years. I told this to engineers and executives at the platform. Glad to see they are finally doing something about it. People can still dislike a video, but they can't rally around the ratio for sport. I'd like to beg to differ. Just because the number isn't public doesn't mean you don't see the number. And I'll be honest, if you hide the dislikes, all you're trying to do is inflate the ego of the person with 30 to 50,000 views on a video, with 19 likes. Where'd those dislikes go, eh, Matt? It's a mystery. Has your channel gone under 100k yet? Doesn't matter. As we're done, I'd like to know what you all think. Do let me know in the comments down below. I shall be hosting a political recap stream on the Moistski Live channel. It's also on Spotify. Link to that down below. Please help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. If I don't see you then, 9:30 PM GMT. I hope you all have a fantastic Friday and subsequent weekend. And thank you all for listening.